Hi, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. I've seen that some of you are watching my videos and others are not, and that's okay. That's how YouTube is. I admire people who work really hard on YouTube, learning how to use softwares and knowing how to edit their videos in the ways that they know that an audience would be watching it. That's part of the reason why I'm eager to get back into YouTube and learning my ways how to manage it. But ultimately, it still comes down to the same reasons I had when I first joined, which is just simply to be a voice, not necessarily to gain fame. Uh, it sounds like a lot of pressure, but if it happens, it happens. But I'm mostly interested in connecting, talking about things that matter. And one of those such things that matter sometimes can relate to my life, and other times it's relating to what's going on with other people, kind of shedding some light to current struggles. And that's what I want to do right now, talking in this video. Today, I want to talk about finding strength through our struggles. And so I would like to share with you all that watching the fires in the Los Angeles, also known as the LA fires, has been very devastating. I don't live in Los Angeles. It's a pretty good distance away from me. But when I watched those homes burning, especially a couple days ago when there was news coverage live, it was pretty devastating to see that happen. Um, I had questions. Um, there were troops coming out, like the people coming out and complaining about how the reservoirs were empty and dried, and that many tried to use the fire hydrants and that there was no water coming out. These are homes. Like, if you can picture yourself, everyone, like living in a home, and all of a sudden a fire catches it and everything is gone. All your valuables, all your goods, and hopefully no one is in the house to get burned or pass away from the event, but that's what happened in some of this in this situation in Los Angeles. They lost a lot. A lot of property was destroyed, a lot of businesses, a lot of homes, especially in the areas where actors and other famous people live. In other words, everyone struggled. And when I watch those videos, it's devastating. It's hard to comprehend what they are going through. I I'm not going to even say that I understand what's going on because I still live in a home and I don't know how they feel. We don't want to also compare and talk about how like one struggle is greater than the other when in the grand scheme of our lives, we all face struggles, and some of it's to a high or low degree, whether it's loss, losing a friend, losing a job, just, or even simply being poor or forsaken or betrayed, even at times facing thoughts of hopelessness. So much so that, and there's an individual out there that wants to end their life, to discard themselves, miscarry themselves. And this could be painful. Some of you out there don't live in Los Angeles or are anywhere near the fires. Some of you live in your own states, watching what's happening, and even in your own cities, and even in your own lives. Everyone is facing stresses. One of the highlights of my channel has been about relationships. And I mean to talk about all forms of them, not just the romantic kind. Losing a friend, whether it's through a sense of betrayal, miscommunication, misunderstanding. As I mentioned, losing a job. That can be devastating, especially when one has family. There's major setbacks, even death, someone passing away. This can make us feel overwhelmed. And while we're facing those pains, it's we can't just tell someone to get up and start walking. Though on a serious on a serious note, that is the way, but many are stuck. Many are still trying to process what is going on in their situation. And of course, no man can say when you are ready to move, because when you are ready to move, it is your responsibility. It is when you are ready. And of course, I felt this pains too. Many of the topics I just listed, I felt many of them. And of course, I didn't just get up and move, it took time for me. This is why I say no man can say. But when we are done being being there, being in that place, that's when we finally realize that we need to do something to move forward. That's why I say on a serious note that moving forward is the answer. But many of us are not ready for that. Take for example the LA fires. I'm not gonna say that hey they need to get up and get moving. There's a controversy with that situation right now. Donald Trump, for example, just went to Los Angeles to talk to the mayor, and that was a very interesting news coverage of their conversation. So there's dilemma going on there. But one thing is for sure that what's happening in Los Angeles is what's happening in Los Angeles. So the people living there and around the areas where the fire has affected them, even towards the mayor, this is their situation right now. It's not mine. This doesn't mean I don't care, but I have to focus on my reality that I have a home, I have a family. I'm not dealing with stresses as much right now. But even the stresses in my life right now are still my responsibility. I have to face them. What's happening in Los Angeles right now is a situation that's very devastating and at the same time complicated. But yet, the people that live in that area have more right to speak, have more right to act, have more right to feel because of their given situation. But I don't live in Los Angeles. So it's like someone coming in and judging and criticizing, but yet I have no place because I don't live in that city. It's the same with every one of our lives. Given our situations and given where we are at, we need to deal with our problems where we are at. And so for many of us, what I'm trying to say is that our struggles can suffocate us. Right now, like I said, someone wants to end their life in another state. There's someone that's been betrayed in another city. Someone has is feeling poor right now. There's a multitude of problems happening in our world. There's even war. There could be a financial crisis, and of course, life still moves forward. In other words, there's still future problems we will be facing. Right now, a topic that came up is about AI and how AI is taking people's jobs. That's a new problem that's happening specifically for those people that are affected by it. One can imagine what they are going through. One can imagine what's happening in the LA fires and what they're going through. What about the people that's gone through natural disasters like hurricanes? These Everyone is suffering to a certain degree. This is to acknowledge that in the human experience, we are all going to face something that's going to test us. That's going to test our soul. That's going to test our willpower. And we're taught in these situations, whatever it is that you are facing, to discover a light, to find a way. On the other hand, there have been many that have ran away, did not want to confront the situations, gave up, not just ending one's life, but give up on the situation rather to find a solution. They gave up. A testament to our human experience, especially because our lives are so short. Many of us might live to 60, 70, or 80, 90, maybe even 100. I don't know. But what a story do we tell, especially for the future, when we choose not to give up, when we choose to be resilient, where I can keep walking down facing these experiences and not running away. And I can talk to my children. I can let them know that, hey, I know it's tempting to run away. I know it's tempting not to confront that bully. In other words, report them and talk to a higher authority. I know it's intimidating. I know it's fearful. But ignoring the issue will not make that bully from stop bullying you. Life has its struggles. And it's important that we stand up and show our willpower that we do not want to stay there. Because through our struggles and our resilience, our eagerness and our effort to find a solution, it will eventually come. For those of you who are looking for a job, you will eventually find one because you're putting in the work. Some of you are even going to workshops to build up your resume. Some of you have been feeling betrayed. It's hurtful. How can someone of many years treat me like this? How can someone leave me for another person? How can someone steal my money? But it's only in that moment, right? It's only in that moment and the result of that moment that you feel down. But will it be the same in a year, in a 2 or 3 years? Probably not. Some of you are filled with anxiety. You are giving energy to those negative thoughts. Anxiety is rooted on fear. It's rooted on something that is not true. I think I'm going to fail. Well, how can you say that when you haven't even taken the test? I don't think I can have children. Well, how can you say that when you haven't spoken to a doctor to get a proper diagnosis? I don't think I'm good enough. Well, how do you know if you haven't tried? When it comes to anxiety, it's built on fear. It's built on those things you've already decided to place in your mind. Rather than spending that energy on negative thinking, put it towards positive thinking. And that's why the ideas of never giving up is true. You don't give up. You keep moving forward. You try. So you lost your job, keep applying. You feel betrayed, that's okay. You'll eventually understand this and learn from this. And then learn to be a better judge of friends. Learn to be better at building boundaries. The same is said about romantic relationships. You will learn to see the partner and what you want in your life. You will learn to be confrontational, not in a negative sense, in the ways of directly calling out behaviors. You won't dismiss them or be avoidant to them anymore, but instead you will decide to talk about them. And when someone chooses not to talk to you about it, when it really matters, then now you know, okay, I've seen this behavior before. Now I need to make decisions. I say that loosely because being in a relationship is complicated. What I'm saying is that you have better boundaries now because you learn from the past. Some of you have gone to therapy and are learning to fix yourselves, learning to ask the right questions, learning to take accountability, but ultimately seeing the other side too of what's happening in your life and the people you're dealing with. Some of you are not going to therapy. You're finding other ways of fixing your situations. I wouldn't say fixing, but you're trying to manage your life in a different way away from therapy. That could be helpful and at times sometimes not. It depends who you are talking to and it depends how you are seeking that resolutions for yourselves. But again, no man can say. I can't say if it's helping you or not. The importance of therapy is that it allows us to ask it's allowing the therapist to ask us questions that sometimes we've never even asked ourselves. It opens up a different frame of thoughts. It allows us to see ourselves, especially when it becomes uncomfortable, because that's what it is. We find out that many times we've never confronted ourselves. Even when we look in the mirror, we never ask our questions. We build realities trying to hide something in ourselves and convincing ourselves it's more right, more wrong, whatever. But the truth is, how do we know that? How has it affected relationships with other people? How has it affected you in the totality of your life? Well, that's why therapy's there. We explore those topics. Now, this isn't to promote therapy, but this is also to say that there's two sides here. And ultimately, how we choose to go on about our healing, how we go on about never giving up. We find ways of bettering our situations and ourselves to be better versions of ourselves. The road ahead is scary, but it doesn't have to be. And ultimately, it's those moments we are intimidated. It's the things that make us run away that when we do the opposite, it alleviates the feelings. No matter, no matter how messy it is. When you do the correct action, which is usually the one you don't want to do, it always makes the things go away. It always makes that high anxiety, that feeling in the chest, that aching stomach. It makes that feeling go away. And the only reason why we are having those physical reactions is because we're feeling the tension and the pain of a situation we're dealing with. But the hardest decision is always the right one. Always the right one, no matter how messy it is. No matter how messy it is, but it's always the right one. And now look in your own situations in your life. What is it that we can do better for the future? What is it that we can do to better ourselves? How can we come to an understanding that what we are dealing with right now is a moment in time? It's a moment. What we're dealing with, whatever it is only going to be here for a short time in the grand scheme of our lives. Now, I say this with kindness and respect. I don't know everyone's situation. I don't know all your situations. Even my practice in therapy, I can't speak that what I've seen in clients has been the same for everyone. We share certain experiences together, but then there's many that we do not. So no one knows you more than you know yourself. But I'm not here to be loosely about anyone's situation. I'm simply saying that there is a way, and that if you keep looking for it, you will find it. But don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Success isn't always immediate, but persistence always brings progress. So I want to let you know that that's my message for today. And I hope it reaches someone that needs it, that it's okay to feel down. But whatever you do in that moment, whatever you're feeling, do something productive. Try not to numb yourself because numbing yourself delays healing. Sometimes looking at it, and if whatever's happening in your situation, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to cry, but feel it. That is something I remember learning in Buddhism, that it's important to feel all the human emotions because it's better to feel it than to reject it. It will come at a later time if you reject it. It's like someone knocking the door. It's like it's like there's an attic. You know, once you open up the attic, once you open it, all those boxes will be coming down on you. All of them. That messy attic, it will be coming down on you. And it has to. It has to. And it will be overwhelming. But sometimes having a friend with you, having a therapist with you, having someone you love or trust right next to you to helping you organize. Throw away the boxes and the things in the boxes that don't matter. Keep the ones that matter and then take it back up in the attic to organize it. It's sometimes all we need. But we have to open up the attic and we have to let everything fall down. And we have to feel what it is that we're going to feel after we do that action. But we can't keep ignoring the attic. We can't keep walking by it and thinking it doesn't exist. We eventually have to pull it down and let it come down. That's the same with all truths in our lives. We always have to face them and not run away. And as I mentioned about running away, it's an easy feeling. It's always that thing that makes you want to do that decision. So, usually the first decision on any stressful situation. But yet, the one thing you don't want to do is usually the correct one in all situations. I encourage you to think about that saying for a moment in your lives. Think about the easiest decision and think about the hardest decision. I hope this video helps you. And please leave a like or comment. Anything you want to share. I'm opening up to hearing your stories. Thank you for taking this time to listen to mine. And I hope that as I move forward, I can continue having discussions or being able to share on these kinds of topics for people that need it. I will pray for you and for all of you that, you know, believe in the higher realms, God Almighty, or even believe in your own angels, even your soul or your own willpower. I pray for you all and I pray for healing, and don't give up on yourself and do the very best you can to be the best versions of yourself. Take care.